I'm Jessica Anne Pressler, and you've tuned into Your Traitor Within, a podcast that exposes the brutal truths of healing, self-discovery, and breaking free from relentless patterns of self-sabotage. I am truly honored and thankful to have Bobbi with us today on Your Traitor Within podcast. I think many listeners will relate to the idea that despite being successful in various aspects of life, one can still fall prey to repetitive self-sabotage. Our working relationship blossomed into a friendship, and I've always admired your strength and determination. As both a health insurance agent and a director of a busy dental office, you blend your skills and passion to assist women in their professional development, whether it be emotional, professional, or career related. You are beautiful inside and out. However, even someone as accomplished and beautiful as you can face struggles with repetitive self-sabotage. I appreciate your honesty and vulnerability in sharing your Traitor Within story, which I believe will resonate with many. Thank you, Bobbi, for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I mean, this is just a joy to be here with you. You're one of my dearest friends and just a wonderful, beautiful person inside and out. So I appreciate you and I'm honored to be on your show.
Aw. And I know you're going to tell your story of your Traitor Within.
Yeah.
And for those out there that don't know, the Traitor Within is a part of us that shows up usually in our adult life. It could be in relationships, it could be at work, it could be, and it shows up out of usually childhood or early trauma and messaging and modeling. And so, Bobbi, thank you for your vulnerability and your honesty as you tell your story of how your Traitor Within was formed and showed up and where you are
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I never really had a word for a label or if you will, on that person inside of me that was kind of self-sabotaging, if you will. But I think when I started to really deep dive into my relationships and some of the reasons why I felt like they failed, I started to understand and kind of unpack my childhood and I looked into, my father and my mother and their marriage and seeing things that we all see, as children growing up in a mother and father marriage and a relationship, and you see things and hear things. And I just knew that it was never sat down to talk to me about, but there was some, unfaithfulness in the relationship, which on my father's part. And it's funny how you feel like the being unfaithful to your mother or the other spouse, right, or the other parent, but it's really also a betrayal, and kind of fractures that daughter as well. Those it brings up kind of internal trust issues that get started and start to manifest themselves. I notice in relationships with myself and how I viewed men
Mhm.
as a whole. I feel like I definitely had some insecurities, trust issues. Um, that is something that happens when you see that your father, who is that first man that you're in love with, and then you see that happen, and and so yeah, that definitely kind of shapes your view and your perception of men in general, which is not a good perception, obviously. I always felt like, so when traitor, I would say it's that inner voice and that's within that has it breeds, self-doubt, insecurities, and or fears
Mhm.
when it comes to being in relationships. And so I started to kind of unpack that as I um, kind of had some failed relationships and started looking at why. And I noticed that I had patterns that I would kind of have one foot in and one foot out and not being fully vulnerable and fully open to have someone love me because I had the self doubts, the psychological kind of warfare that you don't really know is happening as you grow up and become a woman and you experience life through relationships and people in your life and self doubt You can become, someone that has to manage everything, hyper controlling. And I felt like out of that divorce, infidelity, that made me someone that needed to make sure I was always managing my life and being very in control. And so that definitely spilled into relationships, wanting to be in control of the relationship and in control of possibly leaving when I needed to. So feeling safe,
Right. I think a
protect
lot is
myself.
I think a lot of it is about feeling safe. It,
Hmm.
that wound, it's always about feeling safe. And then, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, there was some conflict within as well. I have this
Mhm.
father who was this great father to me, right? He was there, he took us on trips, and I'd get my friends and we go to Disneyland, SeaWorld, whatever that was. And so he was everything you wanted a father to be, really. And then you have this conflict of resentment. So, of this person who did this. So then you have this inner conflict that is plays a little bit of a havoc in your mind, that you have to really take control of and be aware of.
Yeah, and I can see that difficulty because the good, people are complex. But I,
Right.
I want to just point this out because we don't talk about it a lot, and you noted that as well, that the child of the parents, when there's infidelity, particularly if it's the father's infidelity, does get hurt too. People always
Hmm.
say the kids don't get it hurt. This is about the parents, but it's wrong. Look what, I you pointed it out within yourself. And I think it's a very, very important piece to talk about, which you have. So,
Right. And that's so true about the inner child. And we talk about that, but that is really, that inner child is that child that's seeking
mhm,
what they did not receive or what, they felt lacking of in relationships with people. And so that one of the things that kind of made that more difficult for me to fully commit to a relationship was, my mother and her unhealed wounds from that infidelity and that relationship, and her, constantly reading that story over and over again. And in a way, I felt she wanted me to have the same hatred or resentment towards my father.
mhm,
And and so when I started to really look at that, I started to understand that that wasn't my cross to bear. That was
right.
hers. That was something that she hadn't healed, that she was projecting onto me.
How old were you when you realized that piece?
Gosh, I think I realized it really early on, but when I finally said something to my mother, I would say, gosh, probably about 8 years ago, really, where I had to stop her with the stories. I
Mhm,
finally just said, Mom, I
mhm,
understand your pain, but what I do understand as a woman and a mother, that none of us are perfect, and you
mhm,
weren't perfect in that relationship either.
mhm,
And I don't want to hear the stories anymore about my father
mhm,
because that was your relationship with him. It wasn't my relationship with him. And your relationship with that was your husband, and he was my father. And
mhm,
so we have to stop this. And
mhm.
so, yeah, I did that. And
Good for you.
once I did that, that really opened the door for me to have some really deep interpersonal self reflection and understanding of who I was as a woman.
Wow. Wonderful growth, right? And
Right,
at
right.
any age.
And it's funny, the Traitor with, I'm so glad that you have this forum, and so you called it, we were able to label it what it really is. And so the Traitor within it's actually, it's kind of, I say, internalized chaos of a child trying to make sense of adult relationships,
Mhm,
and so, and believing that you have to protect yourself because of it. And that's
mhm,
kind of where that was the thing that I say I got out of the divorce and the relationship was protect,
mhm,
be independent,
mhm.
and not fully allow yourself to love.
So you don't get hurt, and so you can feel safe, right?
Correct.
Right.
Right.
And
Yeah.
how old were you when the infidelity was going on? How young? How?
Um, I don't know. I would say probably 10. They got divorced when I was really separated when I was 12.
So
And
you were. a
little girl.
little girl that needed a safe world and needed
Right.
to worry about that stuff.
Exactly. Exactly. And I saw something, I remember sharing it with my mom. So that just kind of confirmed her suspicions, if you will. And so that just kind of started the whole process. I think, for them to accelerate that divorce. But, it was something that was already happening in the
It
background.
wasn't your fault. I hope you don't feel that it
Oh,
was
absolutely. No, no. I never took that on.
good.
Yeah.
But we're children and we're supposed to feel safe. We're not supposed to have to worry about our parents. We're supposed to just live life and figure out who we are and just be kids. And this is
Right.
all stuff, and it does prevent some of that stuff. And
Growth, I would say growth in certain areas in
yeah,
your,
we're always not there.
mhm, mhm.
Worry about that. Now you're worrying about your mom and you're worrying about your dad. And
Right,
the conflict that you talked about where you love your dad a lot and continued, and you do, it doesn't, but you have this other piece and having to almost, to put it together almost with cognitive dissonance. So, having to make sense of it all. Like, how can this person who's that, and it's a lot to take on as a child, as a teenager, as a daughter, to
correct.
that and then form yourself because here's a time where you're also forming who you are and loving yourself,
Exactly.
becoming authentic and feeling safe in the world. And it's not, you're not feeling safe in all of the world because of what happened.
Absolutely. And a lot of, but I say that those things about the divorce also made me strong. It
Mhm.
also said to me that, always take care of yourself, be independent, and that's power. And so for me, I like that out of that, it made me a strong woman
Well,
to a certain, there are some things that I was a little bit more of took on masculine energy because of it too.
I want to be very clear. I don't, and the traitor within isn't something to hate. It's
Mm,
actually something you should have compassionate for because it's a part of us, and it's a part
right.
of us that comes out to help. It's a part
Hmm.
of us that comes out with blinders on, though, because it's because of how it was formed. So there are parts of that traitorous person, whatever, that acts in one way is traitorous, which kept you from allowing yourself to have stay in romantic relationships that may have been healthy. I don't know. We have, can talk,
Right.
but it also may have helped you at work and it helped
Hmm.
you with other things in life. So
Right.
I'm not saying the traitor within is a bad piece. First, it's part of you. It's loving. It's just shouldn't be there in certain places. That part of your personality should not be, is not helpful. It's traitorous.
Right. And you're right. Yeah, that's just another layer of ourself. And I think it's that little girl that I need to protect, and she's the little girl that was protecting me. So you're right, there is that piece that you have to go, that traitor is also the person that protected you.
Yeah. And
And
then
so
what, I got this now. Like you
mhm,
get to the point where you start healing, you realize
mhm,
who your traitor within is, you start healing, and then you're like, okay, you're not working well in this part of my life. I
right.
so go on vacation. Go to get in the garage, go in the closet. I don't need you now. I got this. And that's when we start healing.
Right. Right. And that's where I saw bits and pieces of the fact that I was aware and seeing it in a relationship. And then I started to go, oh, okay. Then I was able to really deep dive into what I was doing, how
So
I was.
how was that for you? Tell me the experience.
The experience was when I actually, it's quite recent. I am now married. It's going to be in a few weeks. It's going to be 1 year. So, yes, I'm so happy. But, I read this somewhere that I felt was like an eye-opening experience for me or a aha moment when I read this and it said, you know, you can't expect a different outcome when you have the same bricks and trying to build a different house. And that really resonated with me. And so I really went down the road of self help, self development. I read book after book after book after book to help understand who I am and why I make the decisions I made. And then, I was in a place, in a position financially and emotionally after all of the real deep work that I was ready to be in a relationship if that happened. And so I meet this amazing person online, my current husband, and we're a couple months into the relationship, and I felt myself pulling a little bit, pulling away, and kind of making things bigger than they should be. And so I thank God He gave me this amazing person in my life who has also done the work and extremely grounded and spiritual. And he called me out. He said, "You know, I'm feeling like you're not allowing this relationship to develop roots.
Mhm.
And come spend a week with me and we just hang out and really get to know each other." And he was absolutely right. That was when I said, "Bobbi, what are you doing? You're doing those habits even though you've understood where they've gotten you, and they don't put you in the where you want to be." And I said, "You know what? He's right. I was not, I was back in that. Even though I'd done all the work, I was still starting to repeat those patterns. And because this felt so good, better than I've ever had.
Mhm. I remember.
And so it scared me. I thought, oh my gosh, is this real? This is what we read. And quite frankly, they write these fantasies about meeting, that he's going to come meet you and sweep you off your feet and all of that. I thought, this is it, but is it real? Can this be real? And I went back to, my father. You think you do everything right, you look this certain way, you do all the things, you perform for love, if you will, and people still go off and they do things. And what I had to finally realize was, you know what? That was all about him, my father. And that is not every man. That is not this man that's in my life right now. And I have to let go of that and rewrite the story. And that's what I did. I said, you know what, Bobbi? You're going to rewrite this. That was my father's, his child, his whatever that created him to do something and not stay in it, even though he had everything.
It was
Uh,
his bones, his
it was
stuff. It
exactly.
wasn't, it wasn't
It
yours.
wasn't mine, or nor my husband's or any other man that I've come in contact with. And so that was my aha moment. I go, okay, we're going to rewrite this.
Mhm.
And so that's really when the healing really was beginning for me in a way of a romantic relationship. I felt like I'd done the work in all areas, but the romance part of it,
Mhm.
having the grounded, person in my life really helped me get grounded. And he was consistent.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
consistency is what I really was lacking.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
Right. And he's evolved. I mean, I know him. He's done the work, like you said.
Hmm.
Safe place. He didn't, some of it's about triggers. We all get triggered, but he had worked on his triggers. He had worked on his stuff. He understood. So he could have, what you did could have triggered him, and he could have gone,
Right,
okay, bye, see ya. And he
right,
didn't, because he's worked.
right.
So he's was able to say, okay, this is how we're going to do it. You see how you are after but I'm going to be patient. I love you. And this is love. This is love.
And that's what I was like. I couldn't believe I actually had everything I wanted and dreamed about, to be fair. And, I wrote down, I started journaling and
I love it.
affirmations and manifestations. And I just kind of deep dived and jumped in to all the possibilities of why this is right.
Mhm.
And so once I did that, we kind of walked this spiritual kind of journey together. He was already on that journey, but he was able to take my hand and I took his hand and he walked me through it. And because of that, it's allowed me to understand that it's really, really important for us women to be so whole in the inside. We have to work from the inside out and not look for these external, people or things or, get if it's a, brand name, whatever that is, to make
You know,
us feel whole.
I agree. I mean, it used to be considered a cliche when we said you need to love yourself first before but it's true.
It really is.
You
And I
can't.
started to understand my mom said that and as a kid growing up you're like, well, okay, what does that mean? And then people say it and then you get to under you're like, that's the only way you can truly love another human being. You have to love yourself and all of it, through all of your mistakes and your fears and
All
you know,
human. Forgive.
whatever that is.
Mhm.
You have to love yourself through it, and then you can love your spouse or your significant other or your child or your friend, because you're giving yourself grace and you're giving them grace
You give it to them.
and
Right.
give it to them. And so when you do that, everything opens up for you and your life changes. And that's what really truly happened for me.
Mhm. And so, we talk about intergenerational trauma. Do you feel that are teaching your daughter as well?
Yes, I feel like, I am now in a position to truly teach her how to love herself and how to be empowered within.
Mhm.
And whether that be your professional, personal, being a mother, because she's a mother now, just pouring into her to understand the importance of really truly loving yourself and giving yourself grace. I think we don't give ourselves grace. We look at our bodies and our lips and our hair and all these things. And women are just so consumed with all the things that tell us what makes us beautiful instead of looking within and going, I'm beautiful because this is who I am and not what I see on the outside of me. And that's really when you're fully healed. And I'm still making mistakes, but what I understand now and what I do now is I look at and I go, how could I have done that better? How could
Mhm.
I have said that better? And communication is huge for me and my husband. And we really take the time to communicate. I sometimes say, I've texted him and said, honey, I wasn't very nice last night. I'm sorry. And it's so small that he doesn't even remember what I'm talking about. I have to explain it, and he goes, "Oh, it's all good." But that's the kind of person I want to be, and the wife that I want to be, and the friend that I want to be. That I'm not going to look at myself and go, "Okay, what could you have done better?" And I want to be a better version of myself every day. And that's checking in and that's being accountable. And sometimes it's not fun to see yourself in that light, but contrast brings growth,
I
and
agree.
and that's really where I'm at.
That's a wonderful lesson for her and everyone that's listening as well. If you could go back to your younger self, your child, and then maybe your, younger but not child self, what would you tell them? Her. What would you tell her?
I would just tell her everything's going to be okay.
Mhm.
And you can do anything you put your mind to. That would be the one thing I would say. Anything you dream of, you can be. Anything you dream of doing, you can do. That's what I would tell my younger child self. Um, my 20-year-old self, I would say, let it go. Let go of all of that and just live and just understand who you are, so that, because you have so much to offer the world, right? And I think we get so caught up in all this self doubt.
Mhm.
And if you just say, you know what, you got this, just do what makes you feel good as long as you don't hurt people. And do listen to your gut. Listen to your gut, because that is always going to steer you the right way. I feel like, I was listening to my ego a lot in my 20s,
Mhm.
and I made some not so good decisions because you let that ego. And then I understood that ego really means edging God out.
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
that's not what I want to do. He's internal in me. And so I have to be him,
Mhm.
and through myself, and
Mhm.
love myself. And that's truly what I would say.
Mhm.
You got this.
You got this. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I have no words. It's beautiful. Advice for yourself and for others to listen to hear. All that stuff prevents us from being ourselves.
Right.
To be able to feel safe, though, to be able to shed the stuff and and then just be you. And I do agree, listening to your internal self, listening to, if it's God, whatever you want to call what's there, the universe, it knows.
Absolutely. That's the power within you. And I think not enough women, and I say women because I'm a woman and I understand women, understand how empowered we can be when we really just rely on that self
Mhm.
within and that higher power. And then we can do anything that we put our minds to. We can have and do anything. We're so powerful. And that's really what I started understanding the last few years, and especially now, how I can manifest the life that I want. And I have. I'm living the life that I manifested.
I agree with that. Yeah.
That's what I want women to understand. And people, you can manifest the life that you want, but you have to rewrite the stories that you tell yourself. And you
And
have
take
to,
control of that.
yes,
You give it to someone else, you can't.
absolutely. And that's really what rewriting, because they say, what do they say? Neurons that fire together, wire together. You rewrite it, rewrite that story. And there's so many books, but Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. There's so many books that I read that I just was able to rewrite and rethink and have a different perspective and perception of what that situation was, so that I can be a healthy me. And that's truly what I did. And I'm doing that every day in my life.
Mhm. And helping others while you do it, because you're helping yourself, but then you also, because I know you, you're full of
Yeah.
love, passion, you spread it out. You
And
know,
that's what I want.
so the spiritual piece is there, of course, and I agree with you. But for those that, maybe aren't that root, psychologically, we talk about rewiring the brain.
Hmm.
We can also, if we keep thinking, writing differently, if we're journaling or with, you can actually rewire the brain as well.
Absolutely.
To think differently,
Absolutely.
get rid of those self-sabotaging voices in your head. You can actually rewire your brain.
And what's been helpful for me, when I start to hear that old story that I gotten rid of,
Mhm.
I let that come in, and then I go, okay, thank you, but I don't need you anymore. And I
Exactly.
let it go. And that's been one of the most helpful things for me, is allowing it to come in, but then knowing what it is, and then go, okay, thank you, but that no longer serves me. And
Mhm.
that's been one of the biggest, I say, and affirmations, daily affirmations have really been key to a successful relationship with my husband, and understanding that I got the blessings, and I'm grateful and thankful. And we do three great thankfuls every day. and
Oh,
and we do 10-minute meditations in the morning and at night. And so all of that stuff just grounds you, and gets you centered, and allows you to really go within and be kind to yourself, and give yourself grace, and give your partner grace.
well,
Really.
yeah, so each other. So
Hmm.
but that's back to the traitor within. So that when we look at our traitor within, be aware the traitor within may never go away. It may
Hmm.
be triggered and pop up, but to be compassionate toward it. It's there it thinks it's helping you. It
Hmm.
actually is trying to help you. It's not
Right.
coming. It's traitorous because but because it has blinders on, because it can't see things clearly, but it is trying to help you. So have compassion for it. It's a part of you.
Hmm.
So acknowledge it, like you said. You acknowledge what's happening. You acknowledge the thought process. You acknowledge whatever is, and then you say, "I got this. I
Right.
I don't need this. Is not okay for me anymore here."
Right.
And you
Right.
let it go. When people meditate, and I have to learn to meditate. I'm not so good at it because I always think you have to clear your mind completely. My understanding is no, thoughts will come. You acknowledge the thoughts, and then you can let them go.
Right, exactly. And believe me, I am the queen of monkey mind. Meditation was definitely something I thought I could never do. And then I just started practicing these beautiful affirmations, as well as frequencies, listening to different frequencies with my husband. He's a Reiki master, he does Reiki on me. And so that, and sound baths, and all these different aspects that I've been introducing into my life is really what's allowed me and opened the door for me to actually meditate. And I was it's just like you, Jessica. I was like, oh, something would come in my mind, and I thought you couldn't let anything come in your mind. No, things are going to come in your mind, but you just have to focus on breathing or one thing, or let it come in and just let it go out and just continue. And so that's been one of the biggest changes for me as of late is being able to actually meditate and just relaxing and it just knowing that I have all of these beautiful guides and loved ones that are no longer here that are here and walking angels on this earth that are here for me. That allows me to get grounded and to meditate, and just knowing the comfort of that and the love of that and support has allowed me to meditate and really go within. And now it allowed me to open up and know what my real calling is, and what I want
Mhm.
is empowering women. uh,
Mhm.
and just women need to understand that it's not about that man out there, it's about you. It's about
Very.
you. Who are you? You want to be the cake, and he's going to be the icing. He
Yeah.
doesn't need to be your cake.
I
And
mean,
so that's important for women to understand and know.
agree. And I think sometimes people's traitor within is formed by society. It isn't
Mhm.
always the parent or the situation at home. Sometimes we've really done a number as a
We have
society
done a number.
thinking about themselves and which is preventative of getting to that higher level, because we keep that keeps people down. It keeps people.
Absolutely. And there's one thing I have to say for everyone out there, and it's junior high and 12, 13, 14, 15. Those are the toughest ages. And people make fun of you and they laugh at you for something that's different. And so my difference is I was tall and really skinny. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I hated it. And people wouldn't, call me names and make fun of me. And my daughter, she had curly hair and she hated having curly hair, so she would straighten it. And I just looked around and I said to her one day, I said, you know what? The thing about you that people make fun of is the most beautiful thing about you.
Mhm.
And so when you understand that,
Mhm.
then everything changes, your whole mindset changes, and that really you're beautiful inside and out, and you just have to love yourself. So no matter what someone says to you or what you see on the commercial of what's beautiful, that won't distort what the
Yeah.
beautiful person that you know that you are. And that's truly is the beauty that I want women to understand and to feel for themselves, because then you will conquer any and everything.
You won't let others keep you down. You won't let others hurt you because they're.
Absolutely.
I agree. We need to spread the love,
Spread
self-love.
the
Love.
love, self-love. If we have self-love, the world will be different.
Mhm.
Self-love, because if you love yourself, you're not trying to not love someone else or hurt people.
Yeah.
And that's what we have done. Hurt people, hurt people.
Hurt people hurt people. We need to heal the people don't love themselves. I agree.
Absolutely.
Maybe the world, maybe that's how the world changes.
Through love.
Through love. Is there anything else you want to say before we end today?
I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to open up this door and be vulnerable and be transparent. And I hope anything I've said today or shared with you and your listeners that they will can something resonates with them within them to say, you know what, it's time to do the work so that I can manifest the life that I want. And that's really what I want to say. And I just want to let everyone know that you're the most beautiful person that I've ever met in my entire life. And I knew that I would be in your life for the rest of my life. And thank you for opening the door for this, for you and I to share.
I feel the same way about you. I said in the intro, but we went from a moment of a professional relationship to a deep friendship like this.
Hmm.
I definitely think we walk through lives, but without getting into the spiritual piece together for a purpose and love.
Right.
And I hope we continue in the future to help others together.
I love that. Let's do it.
I love you, honey.
I love you.